My beloved child, incline your heart in silence and listen to my voice calling from the depths of everlasting love. There are things your eyes have not yet seen, but I have seen them for a very long time. There are waves quietly forming beyond the shore of your life, and I do not want you to be swept away by them. While your soul is still asleep amid the fleeting burdens of this world, I have not come to make you tremble, nor do I place a burden upon your shoulders with words of threat. My heart toward you is the heart of a father who sees his child walking too close to the edge, unaware that the ground beneath their feet has already begun to crack. That is why I speak. That is why I call you to stop, not to condemn you, but to save what is beautiful within you before the darkness of the world causes it to wither. Beloved child, I know what is taking place within you more deeply than you understand yourself. I see the nights when you lie awake after every light has gone out. I hear the sighs you hide behind a calm smile. Others may see only the strength on the outside, but I see the heart that is exhausted from holding itself together for too long. I know there are times when you walk among crowds and still feel alone. Moments when you laugh and speak, yet inside you feel like a dry field with no drop of water left to nourish it. But my child, the Lord is near to the brokenhearted and saves those who are crushed in spirit. As it is written in Psalm 34:118, I have never taken my eyes off you, not even for a moment. Even when you thought you had been forgotten, I was still quietly standing beside you like a small flame burning in the cold winter night. There are signs I have sent into your life, but because your mind has been too noisy, you have missed them. A word that unexpectedly touched your heart in the middle of an ordinary day. A dream that left your soul restless when you awoke. A brief moment when you felt as though someone was gently pulling you out of the darkness. These were not coincidences. I have always been finding ways to reach you. I do not speak only through thunder, but also through a very gentle whisper. Just as when the prophet Elijah stood in the cave long ago, a strong wind passed by, the earth shook, and fire blazed, but I was not in those things. Then came a still small voice, and Elijah recognized that I was there. So it is with you, my child. I am still speaking to you through the very small things your heart often overlooks, because it is too busy chasing the pressures of life. I want you to understand that what is coming is not my anger being poured out upon you, but the consequence of a world drifting farther and farther from the light. When you allow yourself to be carried along by that muddy current for too long, your soul begins to lose its direction without realizing it. There are paths that seem very easy to walk, yet in the end they lead to emptiness. There are voices that sound very sweet, yet quietly pull your soul away from true peace. There is a way that seems right to a man, but its end is the way of death. As Proverbs 14:12 says, that is why I am awakening you before it is too late. Not every open door comes from me. Not everything that brings you temporary happiness will heal your heart in the long run. I want you to learn to discern with your spirit, not merely with passing emotions. Remember the story of Lot when he lived near the city of Sodom. At first, he only pitched his tent near that land because he thought it was fertile and convenient. But day by day, he moved closer to the darkness without realizing that his soul was being worn down. When disaster was about to fall, I sent angels to draw him out of that place, because mercy was still reserved for him. Beloved child, sometimes you too are standing near dangerous boundaries without recognizing it. There are environments, connections, and thoughts that are causing the light within you to grow dim. But today, I am extending my hand to you, as I once did to Lot. If you are willing to take hold of it, I will lead you out of the place where your soul has been suffocating and bring you into a new land of peace. Do not be afraid to stop in the middle of the world's restless rush. People may pressure you to run faster, achieve more, and prove yourself more. But I did not create you to become a machine exhausted by pressure. I created you to live in the abundant life of love and peace. Come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. As Matthew 11:28 says, you do not have to save yourself by your own strength. What I desire from you is not false perfection, but a heart that knows how to return. As soon as you open your heart, my light will begin to heal the deepest places you once thought would never be whole again. I know you have become far too familiar with hiding your pain, so that no one will worry about you. You learned how to be strong to the point that you forgot your soul also needs to be held with tenderness. But my child, even the strongest warriors will collapse if they are never allowed to rest in love. I am not ashamed of your tears. I do not see your weakness as failure. It is precisely in your most fragile places that my power is revealed most fully. Stop condemning yourself for the times you have fallen. Stop believing that I love you less when you are weary. My love does not change according to your successes or failures. It remains steadfast, just as it was from the very beginning, when I first called your name into this world. So today, instead of continuing to run from yourself, come back and let me touch your soul. Let me remove the burdens you have carried for far too long. Let me remind you that you are not forgotten. You are not worthless. You were not created merely to endure suffering. I have placed within you a light capable of surviving even the darkest seasons. And no matter how fierce the winds around you may become, my hand is still strong enough to keep you standing. Beloved child, do not wait until darkness completely covers the sky before you begin searching for the light. Return today, while the door of grace is still open wide. For I am still standing here, with arms that have never closed, waiting for you to enter the peace I prepared for you before the foundations of the earth were laid. Beloved child, I know there are days when you look at yourself and see only broken pieces. You look at what has been lost, the dreams that have faded away, the prayers that seem to remain unanswered, and your heart begins to tremble with despair. But listen to me deeply within your soul. What is happening is not your ending. I will not leave you among the ashes and simply walk away, even in the place that seems most ruined. My hand is quietly at work. I am rebuilding you. I am touching depths within you that you yourself have never fully understood. Like a potter patiently placing clay upon the wheel, I am shaping your soul again with gentleness, yet also with holy wisdom. Like clay in the hand of the potter, so are you in my hand, as it is written in Jeremiah 18:6. You are not being broken apart in order to disappear. You are being remade to become stronger, purer, and able to reflect my light more clearly than before. There are pains you once thought were punishments, but in truth, they were part of rescuing your soul from the things that had quietly imprisoned you for far too long. I see how tightly you have tried to hold on to things that no longer belong in the new season I have prepared for you. There are habits, relationships, and old fears clinging to you like invisible chains. If I did not allow them to be shaken, you would continue sleeping in a narrow place while believing it was peace. But my love will not allow you to live forever beneath what I intended for your life. That is why sometimes I must allow the wind to blow through, allow certain doors to close, allow the things you once depended on to be taken away, so that you may understand that your true source of life was never found in those things. I have come that they may have life and have it abundantly. As John 10:10 says, I did not call you into life merely to survive in exhaustion and fear. I called you into the freedom of a soul that trusts completely in me. My child, do not be ashamed of your tears. Even Jesus, my beloved Son, knelt in the darkness of Gethsemane with a heart so heavy that his sweat became like drops of blood. He knew the feeling of loneliness. He knew what it meant to tremble before suffering. Yet in that very moment, obedience shone with its greatest beauty when he prayed, "Not my will, but yours be done." Heaven itself was moved by the beauty of a heart fully surrendered in love. Do you see? Weakness does not separate you from me. It is in the place where you feel most powerless that my strength finds the deepest room to move. My power is made perfect in weakness, as written in 2 Corinthians 12:9. So stop hiding your wounds as though I cannot see them. Bring everything to me. I am not afraid of your brokenness. I only fear that you will continue suffering alone, without allowing me to enter in. Remember Joseph, who was thrown into a pit by his own brothers. He was sold into slavery, falsely accused and forgotten in prison for many long years. To human eyes, everything appeared completely destroyed. Yet in that darkness, I was preparing him for a position greater than he could ever have imagined. Every pain he endured became a silent classroom that shaped his heart. His humility and his wisdom at the appointed time. The one who had been forgotten became the instrument through which many lives were saved. Beloved child, you are also in such a process. There are days when you think you are being delayed, but in truth, I am preparing you. There are doors that have not yet opened, not because I have forgotten you, but because your soul still needs to mature, so that you may step into greater things without losing yourself along the way. I know that sometimes my silence frightens you. You pray but do not yet see the answer. You search for signs, yet everything seems quiet. But my child, my silence is not my absence. When a seed lies deep beneath the soil, outwardly it appears that nothing is happening. Yet inside, life is quietly forming. In the same way, when you cannot see anything, I am still writing the story of your life with touches you cannot yet fully understand. All things work together for good for those who love God. As Romans 8:28 says, even the things that once wounded you most deeply, I can still transform into blessings for your future if you do not let go of my hand along the journey. So today, I want you to stop seeing yourself as a pile of worthless ashes. What I see in you is not a final failure, but a creation that is being transformed. Ashes in my hands can become beauty. Wounds in my hands can become testimonies of healing. The tears you shed today will not be wasted. They are watering the soil of your soul, so that a new season may be born to bestow on them a crown of beauty instead of ashes, as it is written in Isaiah 61:3. I am the one who makes deserts bloom and causes streams to flow from the driest places. Do not believe your life is over simply because a dark season is surrounding you. My dawn often appears when the night is at its deepest. Therefore, beloved child, rest quietly in my love. Do not force yourself to understand everything all at once. Some paintings only reveal their full beauty when viewed from the distance of time. One day, you will look back and realize that in the very moments you thought you were breaking apart, I was actually closest to you. You will understand that not a single tear was forgotten, and not one prayer fell to the ground in vain. I was always there, quietly sustaining you, patiently healing you, and gently leading you through every season of your life. And from the place that once seemed ruined, I will bring forth a beauty that only grace could create. Beloved child, open your soul wide and receive what I am sowing into your life in this season. Do not think that I am present only in sacred places, built by human hands of stone and wood. I walk beside you in ordinary life along dusty roads, inside the silent room, where you once cried alone in the mornings, when you woke with a heavy heart, yet still forced yourself to smile and continue. I was there. There will be days when you suddenly recognize me in a gentle word spoken by a stranger, in an embrace that came at the perfect moment, in a brief moment of peace that softened your heart. After so many days of tension, you will begin to see that heaven does not touch the earth only through great miracles, but also through small acts of love that you once unintentionally overlooked. I am leading you into a new season. Please know that every seed you plant in this mission will grow into a torch that shines in someone else's darkness. Giving to this work through the link in the description or the pinned comment, whether by buying a coffee, making a donation, or becoming a member of our Ko-Fi community, does not go to a channel. Your actions are supporting a divine mission to save lost souls. Heaven moves through willing voices, but it grows through hearts that are kind. This is what I say over you now. Each gift you give is like a stream of living water that flows into the life of someone who needs healing. Give, and it will be given to you is not just a verse for Jesus. It is a living promise that shapes your future. Allow me to invite you now with a simple act of faith. Come into this moment with purpose, with honesty, and with hope. The money you give today is not a donation. The act of spiritual obedience that lets your heavens open is what opens them. Let go of your seed and see what God brings back into your life. But this is not the kind of glamorous revival the world often seeks. I am not merely repairing the outward appearance while the soul within remains dry and empty. What I am doing goes far deeper than that. I am breathing new life into the places you once believed had died long ago. I am awakening the light within you that pain and disappointment once tried to bury. And the day will come when you understand that truth. Joy does not depend on whether circumstances are perfect or not. It comes from knowing that I am still with you. Even in the midst of the storm, the joy of the Lord is your strength, as written in Nehemiah 18:10. While the world changes constantly, my love remains the steady place where your soul can anchor itself. My child, do not allow the whispers of darkness to become the loudest voice within your heart. The enemy of your soul constantly tries to plant in your mind the feeling that it is already too late. It wants you to believe that the door has already closed, that you have gone too far to be forgiven, that your past mistakes define who you are forever. It repeats your failures again and again, as though they were your true name. But I have never called you by the shame of your past. I call you by love. I call you by the identity I placed upon your life long before you ever knew where you would stumble. There is now no condemnation for those who are in Christ Jesus. As Romans 8:1 says, my grace does not run dry because of your weakness. It is the river that lifts you up every time you think you no longer have the strength to stand. Beloved child, perhaps you are grieving the years that have already passed. You look back at missed opportunities, unfinished dreams, and wrong decisions, and you wonder whether there is still anything good waiting ahead for your life. But listen to me. Time in my hands is not like time in the hands of humanity. People see time as water that flows away and disappears. But I see it as soil that can be revived beneath the rain of grace. There is no season of drought that leaves me powerless. There is no loss beyond my ability to restore. I will restore to you the years that the locust has eaten, as it is written in Joel 20:25. There are things you believed had already died, yet I am quietly preparing them to live again, in ways far more beautiful than anything you once imagined. Remember Naomi when she returned to Bethlehem empty, handed after a long season of sorrow. She lost her homeland, her husband and her sons, and her soul became so filled with bitterness that she said, "Do not call me Naomi, call me Mara," meaning bitterness to human eyes. Her life seemed reduced to ashes. But I had not finished writing her story. Right in the middle of her loss, I had already prepared Ruth to enter her life like a seed of new hope, and from that lineage which seemed shattered, I brought forth the bloodline that would lead to King David. Beloved child, I am doing the same in your life. There are paths that now appear to be endings, but they are actually the places where I am quietly writing a new chapter you cannot yet read. I know that sometimes you feel too small to hope again. You are afraid of believing only to be disappointed once more. You are afraid of opening your heart only to be wounded again. But do not let fear imprison your soul forever in the old ashes of the past. I did not create you to live hidden away in the darkness of what once was. I am calling you into a new garden of faith. There is a seed I placed within your heart long ago, a seed of life, purpose, and heavenly light. Even if all you can see right now is dry ground, life is still quietly moving beneath the surface. Just as a seed buried deep in the soil must pass through darkness before reaching the light, your soul is also being prepared for a new season of blooming. Do not be quick to believe that because you have not yet seen a miracle. I am not at work. Some miracles happen very quietly. A heart beginning to soften after years of hardness. A soul beginning to hope again after long seasons of despair. A person who once wanted to give up, now finding enough strength to continue for one more day. These too are miracles. I am working within every detail that ordinary eyes struggle to recognize. Behold, I am making all things new, as written in Revelation 21:5. Not only one part of your life, but even the deepest hidden places within your soul, I am touching and restoring. Therefore, beloved child, lift your head above the voices of despair. Do not let the past become a prison that holds your future captive. I do not look at you through eyes of condemnation, but through the eyes of a father who still sees beauty in his child, even when they are covered in dust. Keep moving forward, even if it is only one small step at a time. Keep believing even if your faith today is as fragile as a candle trembling in the wind. For I will not allow that flame to go out. I will use the very breath of heaven to keep it burning until the day you realize you were never forgotten. And from the place that once seemed most desolate, you will see new life spring forth like flowers after a long winter, until your own life becomes a testimony that my grace truly can make all things new. Beloved child, come closer to me, and do not let your heart continue hiding in the darkness of shame. I know there are memories that still pierce your heart whenever they return to your mind. There are mistakes you have buried deep because you believe that if others knew them, they would no longer look upon you with love. And so you begin to think that I too will turn my face away. But my child, if I loved only those who were perfect, no one would be able to stand before me. It is precisely because I know your weakness that my mercy is even greater. I do not wait for you to become worthy before opening my arms to receive you. I loved you even in the days when you fell, even in the moments when your soul was most chaotic. God demonstrates His love for us in this. While we were still sinners, Christ died for us. As Romans 5:8 says, my love did not begin after you changed. It is my love that is changing you day by day, beloved child. Every time you return to me, heaven does not look upon you with condemnation. I do not hold an old record book in my hands to recount every failure and force you to bow your head in shame. Instead, each time you come back with a softened heart, I continue writing the story of your life with the ink of grace. What you call ashes I call the ground where new beauty will grow. What you believe to be the final chapter filled with pain, I see as the opening movement of a deeper resurrection season. No tear is ever wasted when it is placed into my hands. No brokenness exists that I cannot use to create a testimony of healing. I do not merely repair your shattered pieces as though patching something old and worn. I rebuild you into something even more beautiful than before. Behold, I am making all things new. As it is written in Revelation 21:5, remember the woman caught in sin and dragged before the crowd with shame covering her soul. The people around her held stones in their hands, ready to end her life with cold condemnation. But while every eye saw her as someone deserving death, I saw a soul in need of redemption. Jesus bent down to the ground and said, "Let him who is without sin cast the first stone." Then one by one, they quietly walked away. Afterward, he looked at the woman and said, "Neither do I condemn you. Go and sin no more, beloved child. This is also how I look at you. I do not deny your mistakes, but neither do I allow your mistakes to become the final sentence over your life. My grace always opens a new path for those willing to return. There are things within you that seem to have been dead for a very long time. Perhaps it is a dream you once prayed for with all your heart, but after disappointment, you no longer dare to hope again. Perhaps it is your ability to love, which you locked away after being wounded too many times. Perhaps it is a faith that once burned brightly, but now seems like nothing more than ashes after long seasons of exhaustion. But my child, I am the God of resurrection. Nothing is too dry for the breath of my spirit. Remember the vision of the valley of dry bones that the prophet Ezekiel saw. Bones lay scattered everywhere, lifeless and so dry that no one could imagine them living again. But when I spoke, the breath of life began to move. Bone came together with bone. Tendons and flesh appeared. Then an entire army rose up filled with power. Do you see what the world calls an ending? I can still transform into a new beginning. What you believe has been lost forever, I can still restore through the power of my love. Do not let the past define you anymore. Beloved child, the world often looks at mistakes and uses them to label a person. People remember failures more than restoration. But I see deeper than what natural eyes can see. When Samuel looked at the sons of Jesse, he believed the tallest and strongest one would surely become king. But I said, man looks at the outward appearance, but the Lord looks at the heart. And then I chose David, the small shepherd boy no one expected. In the same way, I see things within you that even you have not yet recognized. I see a light still burning, even if it is only a tiny flame in the middle of a fierce wind. I see the potential for healing in the very places that once seemed most ruined. I see a future filled with hope, even when all you can see right now is fog covering the road ahead. So today, stop seeing yourself through the lens of failure. Do not call yourself by the name of old shame. You are no longer defined by the times you fell. You are defined by the love of the one who stretched out his hands upon the cross for you. When Jesus endured the nails piercing his body, It was not only a sacrifice for humanity in general, it was also a declaration that you are worthy of redemption, worthy of restoration, worthy of love. If anyone is in Christ, he is a new creation. The old has passed away. Behold, all things have become new, as written in 2 Corinthians 5:17. Not merely patching your life back together, I am creating a new person from the very place that was once broken. Beloved child, do not be afraid to hope again. Do not allow dark seasons to make you forget that dawn still exists beyond the night. I am opening rivers in the desert of your life. I am planting new seeds into the places that were once driest. And when the appointed time comes, you will look back on every road you have traveled and understand that even in the days when you thought you had lost everything, my hand never once let go of you. I was always there, patiently restoring, gently leading, and quietly transforming your life into a living song of the power of grace. Beloved child, even now I want you to pause in the middle of every noise that has been pulling your soul too far away from peace. Lay down the burdens you have been clutching tightly within your heart. Even if only for a brief moment, let your mind become still before me, for I am drawing near to you with the tenderness of a father who has never stopped watching over every step you take. This is not a random moment passing by in the rush of life. Before you ever read these words, I already knew this hour would come. I saw the weariness in your eyes. I heard your soul crying out, even when your lips remain silent. Before they call, I will answer, as written in Isaiah 65:24. Nothing happens outside of my divine care, even the gentle breeze brushing past your window, the beating of your heart in the night, or the restless feeling within you that you cannot explain. All of it is leading you toward the moment when I touch your soul. A fresh wind of the Holy Spirit is moving through your life, not with the noise of the world, but with a deep holiness that only an awakened soul can perceive. I am entering places within you that have not seen light for a long time. There are rooms inside your heart that even you locked away because you believed there was no hope left there anymore. There are dreams you buried because you feared being disappointed once again. There are prayers you stopped mentioning because you believed heaven had been silent for too long. But beloved child, I have never forgotten anything you placed into my hands. I am breathing new life into the things that once seemed extinguished, just as in the beginning, when my spirit moved over the face of the deep, and life was born out of darkness. Today, I am also moving over your soul to create something new. I know your steps have slowed after many seasons of silent battles. I see the days when you wake up with a heart that feels as heavy as stone. Others may not notice it, but I see every small crack within your heart. There are times when you still continue to smile, still fulfill your responsibilities each day, yet inside you are so exhausted that the light in your eyes has begun to fade. My child, I do not condemn you for that weariness. Even Eli, the mighty prophet, once sat beneath the broom tree and asked to die because his soul had become utterly drained after long battles. Yet I did not abandon him in that place of despair. I sent an angel to bring him bread and water, then gently said to him, "Arise and eat, for the journey is too great for you. Do you see? I am not ashamed of your weakness. I care for you even when you no longer have the strength to lift yourself up." Beloved child, do not think that the shakings around you are signs that I have abandoned you. Some foundations must be shaken before I can build something stronger and more enduring. When I see your soul beginning to build its life upon anxiety, pressure, and the approval of others instead of upon my presence, I will not remain silent while you lose yourself. That is why sometimes I allow familiar things to be shaken, so that your eyes may turn back toward what is eternal. Whoever hears these words of mine and puts them into practice is like a wise man who built his house upon the rock. As written in Matthew 7:24, I am rebuilding the foundation within you, not upon fear or control, but upon a deep trust that I still hold your life, even when everything around you is changing. Beloved child, listen carefully. Heaven is not indifferent to the prayers you have whispered in secret. There are prayers you once lifted up through tears that you now believe have vanished into empty space. As this awakening grows inside you, know that helping with this mission is not a joke. It is a sign from God. You can support this work through the link in the description or the pinned comment, whether by buying a coffee, making a donation, or becoming a member of our Ko-Fi community. By doing so, you become part of Jesus' plan to save souls who are still stuck in fog. Every seed turns into light that fights against darkness. If you water others, you will be watered yourself, Jesus says. This is not history. It is a living promise about your future. Come into this moment with faith and a plan. What God has already planned for your life can be unlocked through your giving, but not a single cry from a sincere heart is ever lost before me. I remember every time you called upon my name in the darkness. I remember the moments when you sat alone and could only sigh because you no longer had words to speak. And today, I declare to you a season of restoration is closer than you think. The seeds of faith you planted in tears have not died. They are lying deep beneath the soil, preparing for the day they will burst forth into a harvest full of life. Those who sow in tears shall reap with songs of joy. As written in Psalm 26:7-5, remember Lazarus who had lain in the tomb for 4 days. Everyone around him believed the story was over. Martha said to Jesus that if he had come earlier, her brother would not have died. But I am never too late. When all human hope had faded, Jesus stood before the tomb and cried out with a loud voice, "Lazarus, come forth." And the dead man walked out of the darkness to the astonishment of everyone around him. Beloved child, there are things in your life right now that seem buried for far too long. But if I still speak, life can still return. There are dreams you thought had died, places within your soul you believed had turned to stone. Yet my breath still carries enough power to awaken them all. So today, do not continue living like someone without hope. Do not let darkness make you forget that my dawn is still approaching. I am entering the house of your soul not to condemn you, but to heal you. I am touching your deepest wounds, not to cause you more pain, but to remove the things that have held you captive for far too long. And little by little, you will begin to feel peace returning, like the morning light passing through the window after a long stormy night. You will realize that I have never forgotten you among the millions of souls upon this earth. I still know your name. I still remember the cries of your heart, and I am still writing a story of restoration. So beautiful that one day when you look back, tears will fill your eyes as you finally understand this truth. Through every darkest season, my hand never once let go of you. Beloved child, come near to me in the stillness of your soul. Do not allow fear to guide your heart, nor let the darkness of confusion make you forget that I still reign over all things seen and unseen. I see the nights when you lie awake with a troubled mind. I see the moments when you pray through tears and wonder whether heaven has fallen silent. But my child, there is not a whisper from your lips that I do not hear. You keep track of all my sorrows. You have collected all my tears in your bottle, as written in Psalm 56:8. Every tear you shed in loneliness is treasured by me. None of your pain is ever treated lightly before my presence. Not a single sigh disappears meaninglessly beneath the heavens. So today, I am calling you to step away from every noise that has been exhausting your soul. Lay down the things that have scattered your heart. Turn your eyes away from the endless noise of the world and return to the deepest place within you, the place where I have been waiting all along. You do not need to wear a mask of strength before me. I do not need your false perfection. What I desire is a genuine heart. Let your soul stand uncovered in my light, for only when you stop hiding can true healing begin. Place your hand upon your chest and feel the breath moving within you. That is not merely the life of the body. It is also the sign that I am still sustaining you every moment. If I still allow you to wake each morning, then the purpose I have for your life is not yet finished. Beloved child, you are living in a world where many battles cannot be seen with natural eyes. But I do not want you to drown in fear or become consumed by darkness. I want you to remain awake in faith. There are invisible pressures creeping into the minds of people through anxiety, bitterness, anger, and despair. When the soul becomes weary and drifts away from my peace, those emotions begin spreading like shadows across a house. They do not always arrive through frightening or supernatural things, as people often imagine. Many times they begin simply through coldness in words, impatience with one another, nights filled with negative thoughts, or a heaviness that seems to have no explanation. But my child, never forget that light is far stronger than darkness. The light shines in the darkness, and the darkness has not overcome it. As written in John 1:5, I do not speak these things to make you tremble before the power of darkness, for the enemy is not greater than I am. I speak so that you may understand the importance of keeping your heart close to me each day. A house does not collapse because of one great storm alone, but often begins with small cracks left unattended for too long. In the same way, your soul must be cared for through prayer, forgiveness, love, and spiritual watchfulness. When your heart becomes filled with bitterness, fear, or despair, small openings begin to appear. But when you return to me, my light will fill those places once again. Guard your heart above all else, for from it flow the springs of life. As Proverbs 4:23 says, remember the story of Job. There was a season when darkness seemed to cover every part of his life. Loss after loss came upon him. His home was shattered. His family suffered. His mind was tested to the limit. His friends did not understand him. Even his soul groaned in despair at times. Yet through it all, Job held tightly to me, and in the end, what darkness intended to use to destroy him became the very place where my power and faithfulness were revealed more strongly than ever before. Beloved child, if today you feel that something heavy is resting upon your family or your mind, do not surrender to it through fear. Rise up instead in prayer, in love, and in unity. Do not allow division to take root. Do not let anger remain overnight within your home. For wherever unity and peace dwell, my light reigns with great strength. I also want you to understand that not every negative emotion is a sign of some frightening mystical force. Sometimes you are simply tired, wounded, or carrying too much pressure, and I do not condemn you for that. Do not turn worry into another chain for your soul. Instead, bring everything before me. Pray instead of panicking. Seek peace instead of feeding fear. Let my word become a lamp for your mind in the middle of chaotic days. Peace I leave with you. My peace I give to you. As written in John 14:27, my peace does not depend on whether circumstances are perfect or not. It comes from knowing that I am still with you in the midst of every battle. So today, beloved child, open the doors of your heart and allow the light of heaven to enter. Pray over your home with love instead of fear. Let your words become a source of healing instead of adding more wounds. Rekindle the flame of faith through small things each day, a word of gratitude, a quiet moment with me, a forgiveness you have delayed, an embrace given to someone within your home. Those simple acts will become walls of protection around your soul, stronger than any fear. And then you will realize that I have never left your home. I am still walking through those rooms, gently restoring every heart, every relationship, every place once wounded by the weariness of life. If only you allow me to remain at the center of your home, my light will always be enough to drive away every darkness. Beloved child, I know there are times when you try to use reason alone to explain everything happening around you. You analyze every change, every emotion, every fracture in relationships through human understanding. That is not wrong, for I gave you a mind to discern and to think wisely. But my child, do not forget that your life is not limited only to what your eyes can see and your ears can hear. There is a silent battle taking place beneath the ordinary surface of life. A battle aimed at the peace, faith, and hope I have planted within your heart. The adversary does not always appear through something obviously frightening. Often it begins with prolonged weariness, with discouragement that seems to have no clear cause, with negative thoughts repeating themselves, until you begin doubting my love and my promises for you. but hear me clearly. I do not want you to live in fear of darkness. The one whom I protect is not meant to tremble every day in fear of being consumed. What I desire is for you to remain watchful and keep your heart close to the light. Be sober and vigilant. Your adversary the devil walks about like a roaring lion, seeking whom he may devour. As written in 1 Peter 5:8, a watchfulness does not come through panic, but through a soul anchored firmly in me. When your heart slowly drifts away from prayer, when gratitude begins to fade, when bitterness and anxiety quietly take root, small cracks begin to appear, and through those cracks, chaos slips in like thin smoke that is difficult to notice at first. It makes you quicker to anger, quicker to despair, quicker to misunderstand one another. Not everything is merely personality or coincidence. Many times these are signs that the soul needs healing and needs to draw near to me once again. Beloved child, remember that the greatest battle is not about taking away your soul, for you belong to me. What darkness often tries to do is slowly wear down the flame within you little by little. It wants you to stop praying. It wants you to believe that my word no longer has power. It wants you to think you are alone in this life. But I declare to you, you are not alone. If God is for us, who can be against us? As written in Romans 8:31, there are moments when you feel too weak to fight, but even when your hands fall because of exhaustion, my hand has never once let go of you. Remember Daniel in the lion's den. Dark forces conspired through fear and earthly power to silence him, to make him stop praying and turn his heart away from me. But Daniel did not allow fear to shut the door of his spiritual life, even knowing danger awaited him. He still knelt in prayer as he always had. And there in the lion's den, the place that should have been filled with death, I sent my angel to shut the mouths of the lions. Beloved child, there are lions' dens in your life today. Pressures, conflicts, worries, and confusion that make you feel surrounded. But if you continue turning your heart toward me, darkness will not be able to consume your soul. I know there are wounds within your family that have never been spoken aloud. There are careless words that left deep cuts within one another's hearts. There are long silences because each person waits for the other to understand first. And in places where forgiveness is absent, darkness easily plants further misunderstanding and division. That is why today I am calling you to become the one who begins the healing. Do not wait for others to change before you open your own heart. Pray for one another even while the pain is still there. Choose gentleness even when your heart wants to resist. Do not be overcome by evil, but overcome evil with good, as written in Romans 12. Every time you choose forgiveness instead of resentment, my light shines more strongly within your home. Every sincere prayer becomes another stone, rebuilding the spiritual walls around your family. But my child, do not turn spiritual life into an obsession driven by fear. Sometimes you are simply exhausted from the pressures of life, from unhealed wounds, because your body and mind truly need rest. I do not want you to look at every hardship as though darkness is hunting you everywhere you go. I am the God of peace, not of confusion. When Elijah became exhausted in the wilderness, I did not begin with rebuke or terrifying mystical signs. I first gave him rest, gave him food and water, and then gently restored his soul. In the same way, sometimes what you need is to return to a healthy rhythm of life, resting in me, praying, opening your heart to those who love you, caring for your mind with what is good, and refusing to let the darkness of anxiety swallow the light within you. Beloved child, rise up in faith, not in panic. Open your lips and pray. Even if your prayer is only a small whisper, Lord, please guard my mind and my family in your peace. Do not underestimate the power of a simple prayer, offered with a sincere heart. The prayer of a righteous person is powerful and effective, as written in James 5:16. As long as love, gratitude, and the calling upon my name still remain within your home, the light will continue to burn there. Darkness may knock at the door, but it cannot remain where I dwell. And if today you feel too weary to continue, remember that heaven has never withdrawn from your battle. I am still sending support in ways you have not yet seen. There have been times when I protected you from things you never even knew you had escaped. There have been nights when I guarded your mind while you slept. Though you were unaware of it, you are not fighting alone. I am still the fortress around you, the fire covering your family, the one who stands between your home and everything that seeks to destroy its peace. Therefore, do not be afraid. Continue nurturing the light within your heart through my word, through love, and through the trust that no force is greater than the power of the one who holds your life in his hands. Beloved child, be still and let your soul rest in my presence. There are moments on your life's journey when everything seems to remain unchanged for so long that you begin to believe nothing can ever change again. But I speak to you now, even in the silence that appears motionless. My hand is still quietly moving. The fact that your eyes cannot see something does not mean I am not at work. Like a seed buried deep in the soil through a long winter that seems hopeless. Beneath that cold ground, life is still preparing for the day. It will rise and reach toward the light. So it is with you, my child. There are movements taking place within your soul that you do not yet fully understand. But a time will come when you look back and realize that everything was being guided by my perfect wisdom. If at this very moment you are reading these words, do not think it is merely a coincidence, passing among countless things in the world. I want to use this very moment to remind you that your life has not been abandoned to chance. Some old seasons are gradually closing, and I am opening a new path before you. Not every change arrives with a loud sound. Sometimes transformation begins very quietly, in the way you begin to see yourself, in the peace that slowly returns after months of chaos, in the way your soul stops despairing and learns to hope again. Behold, I am doing a new thing. Now it springs forth as written in Isaiah 40:19. What I am doing in your life is not only changing outward circumstances, but reshaping your heart so that you can step into the new season without losing the peace within. Beloved child, I know there were times when you cried in prayer, and wondered whether I truly heard you. There were nights when you longed for a sign, for an answer, yet what you received seemed only to be a long silence that left your heart unsteady. But listen to me carefully. My silence does not mean my absence. There are lessons that can only be learned in the dark night of faith. When Abraham was called to leave his homeland and go to a place he had never known, I did not show him the entire journey ahead. I gave him only a promise, and he walked by faith. That very trust opened the way for miracles greater than anything he could have imagined. You are about to enter your divine future. Remember that this message does not end with you. People can use your breakthrough to get where they need to go. Through the link in the description or the pinned comment, whether by buying a coffee, making a donation, or becoming a member of our Ko-Fi community, you can help this mission. By doing so, you are sowing into the awakening, deliverance, and restoration of souls who are still trapped in darkness. This is not poetry when Jesus says, "Give, and heaven will open over you." Every seed you plant turns into oil for your destiny, fire for your calling, and safety for your family. Now is your time, my child. Have faith, and as you do, watch God multiply what you let go of. So it is with you, my child. I am teaching you not only to believe when everything is clear, but to believe even when all you can see is the mist ahead. For true faith is not born in ease, but in the days when the soul still chooses to cling to me before the answer appears. I see that you are tired after a long journey. I see the times when you tried to be strong, while inside you were nearly empty. There were moments when you thought you were lost in a maze of delay and waiting. But no, you are not lost. I am leading you through a season of preparation. Every time you have had to wait, it was not because I forgot my promise, but because I was enlarging the capacity of your soul. If I gave you something great too soon, while your inner life was not yet steady enough, that very thing would burden you instead of becoming a blessing. Remember Joseph. He received a dream from me when he was still very young. Yet he had to pass through the pit, the prison, and years of being forgotten before stepping into the place I had appointed for him. If Joseph had received authority too early, he might not have been mature enough to carry the responsibility of saving many lives. In the same way, the delays in your life are not rejection. They are my hand quietly preparing you for something greater. Beloved child, do not allow your mind to be swept away by fears about the future. I am not calling you into a new season through panic or the pressure to control everything. I am calling you to walk forward in surrender. Do not fear, for I am with you. Do not be dismayed, for I am your God. I will strengthen you. As written in Isaiah 41:10. That word is not merely a beautiful comfort for you to read and forget. It is the rock upon which your soul can stand firm amid every movement of life. When the world around you shakes, I remain the one who never changes. When you do not have enough strength to lift yourself up, my righteous right hand is still holding you. Beloved child, I also want you to understand that not everything moving around you should be measured by human time. Do not let phrases such as 3 hours, a season, or a certain moment fill your heart with tension or superstition. What matters is not the clock of the world, but the awakening of your soul to what I am doing. There are heavenly moments that are not measured in minutes and seconds, but in the growth and maturity of the heart. What I desire from you is not an anxious search for signs, but a heart willing to open itself to my guidance each day. So today, release the need to understand everything immediately. Allow me to lead you one step at a time. Rest in the truth that you do not need to carry your future by your own strength. I am working even when you cannot yet perceive it. Doors that once seemed tightly shut will open at the appointed time. Things you believed were lost will be restored in wiser and deeper ways, and you yourself will also be transformed beneath my hands, deeper, gentler, and stronger in faith. Therefore, beloved child, do not fear the waves of change that are coming. When you anchor your soul in me, those waters will not drown you. They will carry you closer to the purpose I prepared for your life. Before the foundations of the earth were laid, continue praying, continue loving, continue trusting even in the days when nothing seems clear. For the time will come when you look back and realize that every silence, every season of waiting, every confusing turn in the road was simply my gentle way of leading you into the new season of grace I prepared for you long ago. Beloved child, quiet your heart in this moment and feel the peace gently settling upon your soul like morning dew upon a field after a long night. There are moments when silence no longer feels empty, but instead becomes the sign that something new is being formed deep within. I know you have endured many seasons of waiting, many nights when every door seemed closed, many days when your heart was so weary that you could only continue walking with your last remaining strength. But my child, hear me, not every silence is a delay. Some silences are cradles where I quietly prepare new life to be born. Even now I am touching the deepest places within your soul, not through force or the loud noise of the world, but through the gentle breath of the Holy Spirit. Just as in the beginning of creation, when the earth was formless and darkness covered the deep, the Spirit of God moved upon the waters to bring forth life. Today I am also moving over the places within you that once felt dry and empty. The fears that once caused you to shrink back are gradually losing their power. The voices of condemnation that once weighed heavily upon your mind are fading beneath the light of my love. If the Son sets you free, you shall be free indeed, as written in John 8:36. You are no longer bound by the things that once made you bow your head in despair. Beloved child, perhaps you do not fully realize it yet, but something within you has already begun to change. The way you see life is being renewed. The way you listen is becoming deeper. In the past, you searched for me through great signs, immediate answers and visible miracles. But now I am teaching you to recognize me in the small peace that remains within chaos, in the hope that still flickers, even when circumstances have not changed, in the quiet strength that helps you rise one more time. Your faith is no longer rooted only in what your eyes can see, but is growing deeper within my very presence. The righteous shall live by faith, as written in Habakkuk 2:84. You are standing between two seasons. My child, behind you are the long nights of pain, confusion, and exhaustion. Before you is the dawn of restoration that I prepared long ago. But remember this, dawn does not arrive in one sudden burst of light. It begins with very small rays piercing through the darkness. In the same way, renewal within you may begin through simple things. A heart softening after years of hardness, a soul beginning to hope again. A gentle peace you had not felt for a long time. Do not despise those small beginnings. It is from those very places that I will build something greater than you can imagine. Remember Mary Magdalene on the morning of the resurrection. She stood before the tomb with tears and despair, believing that all hope had died upon the cross. Yet in the moment when her heart was hurting most deeply, the risen Jesus called her by name. One single call transformed her tears into joy and turned the darkness of night into a new dawn. Beloved child, I am calling your name in the same way. There are parts within you that you believed had died, your faith, your dreams, your peace. But when I call, life will return again. What you thought was the end is actually the place where I am preparing a deeper beginning. I also want you to understand that the rebirth of the soul is not a passing emotion that appears and then fades away. It is the process through which I gently transform you from within. Perhaps today you do not yet see every circumstance changing immediately, but the new seed has already been planted. And once I sow life into your heart, no force can stop it from growing if you continue to remain close to me. If anyone is in Christ, he is a new creation. The old has passed away. Behold, all things have become new. As written in 2 Corinthians 5:17, you are no longer the person of the old seasons. The things that once defined you through pain and failure are gradually losing their power. Beloved child, stop turning back toward the darkness, as though it still has the authority to hold you captive. I did not call you to live forever in the memories of what has passed. I am leading you forward. Perhaps you do not yet fully understand the new path I am opening before you. But you do not need to see the entire journey in order to know that I am guiding you. What I desire from you is not perfection, but a heart willing to keep moving forward in trust. So today, rise up with a renewed soul I am forming within you. Breathe in hope instead of continuing to nourish fear. Allow me to touch every dark corner you once kept hidden. And as you walk into this new season, you will gradually realize that the greatest miracle is not merely changed circumstances, but the transformation of your own heart. You will stop chasing outward signs, because your renewed life itself will become a living testimony that I am truly present, truly healing, and truly leading you into the abundant life I promised from the beginning. Beloved child, the time has come for you to stop bowing beneath the shadow of fear and step out from the place where your soul has imprisoned itself for far too long. I did not create you to live forever withdrawn, constantly doubting the value I placed within you from the very beginning. There were seasons when I allowed you to walk through, dark valleys not to destroy you, but to teach you how to recognize my voice in the deepest night. And now, after those long days of testing, I am calling you to rise as one prepared for a purpose greater than yourself. You are no longer someone merely trying to survive from day to day. I am leading you into the life of one who is sent forth, not through pride, but through the gentleness and power of my love working within you. My child, stop seeing yourself as merely an ordinary soul lost among a nameless crowd. In the eyes of the world, you may seem like only one among millions, but in my eyes, you are a story written with the care of heaven itself. Before you were formed in your mother's womb, I knew you, called you by name, and placed within your soul seeds that would begin to grow only at the appointed time. Before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. Before you were born, I set you apart. As written in Jeremiah 105, there are pains you once believed were meaningless losses, yet they have been teaching your soul how to carry compassion for other broken people. There were nights when you cried alone and no one understood, yet those very nights have been shaping within you a heart deep enough to lift others when they fall. I am awakening within you things you never before dared to believe about yourself. There is a voice I have placed inside your heart, not so that you may become great in the eyes of the world, but so that you may bring light into places filled with darkness. There are people drowning in despair who will find hope through your prayers. There are souls who believe they have been forgotten, who will feel my love through your gentle presence. Do not think that you must do grand things according to the world's definition in order to be used by me. Sometimes a timely word of comfort, an open embrace, an act of forgiveness, or a quiet prayer offered for another person is enough to shake the unseen realm. You are the light of the world, as written in Matthew 5:14. Light does not need to shout in order to prove it exists. It simply continues to shine. Beloved child, I know you fear change. You are afraid to step outside what is familiar, because at least there you know how to survive. But if a seed remains forever hidden within the safety of its shell, it will never become a great tree. I am bringing you out of the old shell, not to leave you lost, but so that your soul may expand into what I intended for you from the beginning. When Peter stepped out of the boat onto the water, what kept him standing was not his own strength, but the fact that his eyes remained fixed upon Jesus. Only when he looked at the waves did fear begin to pull him down. So it is with you, my child. If you look only at circumstances, you will tremble before every movement around you. But if the eyes of your soul remain fixed upon me, you will walk through things you once believed were impossible. I am opening your eyes to see the things you once overlooked. You will begin to recognize beauty in places that once seemed barren. You will see healing quietly, entering relationships that once appeared too deeply broken to restore. There are doors that once remained tightly shut, which will open at the appointed time, not because you forced them open through your own effort, but because my hand touched them. not by might, nor by power, but by my Spirit, as written in Zechariah 4:6. I am not calling you to carry the burden of accomplishing everything through your own strength. What I desire is a heart willing to trust and walk with me. Remember Esther. At first, she was only a young woman living quietly, never imagining that her life would one day affect the destiny of an entire people. Yet the very circumstances she did not understand, the changes she never chose for herself, were quietly leading her into the position I had prepared for her. And when the appointed moment arrived, Mordecai said to her, "Who knows whether you have come to the kingdom for such a time as this? Beloved child, I am doing the same in your life. There are things happening that are not accidents. Please know that every seed you plant in this mission will grow into a torch that shines in someone else's darkness." Giving to this work through the link in the description or the pinned comment. Whether by buying a coffee, making a donation, or becoming a member of our Ko-Fi community, does not go to a channel. Your actions are supporting a divine mission to save lost souls. Heaven moves through willing voices, but it grows through hearts that are kind. This is what I say over you now. Each gift you give is like a stream of living water that flows into the life of someone who needs healing. Give, and it will be given to you, is not just a verse for Jesus. It is a living promise that shapes your future. Allow me to invite you now with a simple act of faith. Come into this moment with purpose, with honesty, and with hope. The money you give today is not a donation. The act of spiritual obedience that lets your heavens open is what opens them. Let go of your seed and see what God brings back into your life. The seasons of pain, the delays, the closed doors, all of them are leading you to the very place where I need your presence. Not so that you may seek glory for yourself, but so that my light may be revealed through your life. So today, stop seeing yourself as a victim of your circumstances. You are not defined by the things that once wounded you. I am calling you to rise as one entrusted with a portion of heaven's light. That does not mean your life will no longer contain hardship or tears. But now your tears will no longer be meaningless. They will become streams watering a new harvest. Your old wounds will no longer be chains dragging you down, but testimonies of my healing power. Beloved child, do not fear the season of transition unfolding within your life, when everything around you begins to change. Do not think that I am taking away your peace. Many times I am simply moving you out of a place too small for what I desire to give you. I am preparing you to truly live, not merely to survive in exhaustion, but to live with purpose, with light, and with a deep joy that circumstances cannot steal away. And the day will come when you look back upon the entire journey you have walked, the dark nights, the moments of collapse, the silent tears, and you will understand that nothing was wasted. Everything was leading you toward this moment, the moment when you stop running from your calling and begin walking in the freedom of one who knows that my hand has always rested upon your life from the very beginning until the very end. Beloved child, Do not quickly assume that the difficult roads you are walking mean that I have forgotten you. I know there are days when you look around your life and see only closed doors, shattered plans, and prayers that seem unanswered. At times you wonder why you must endure so many trials when all your heart longs for is peace. But my child, listen to me with your whole soul. There is no pain I allow without a deeper purpose, beyond what your eyes can presently see. A gardener does not prune a branch because he hates it, but because he sees the season of fruitfulness the tree itself cannot yet imagine. In the same way, I am removing from your life the things that would hinder the growth of your soul. There are things you are trying to hold on to simply because they are familiar, but I can see that they are preventing you from becoming the person I destined you to be. Before the foundation of the world, I do not merely desire for you to feel comfortable for a little while. I desire for you to grow in the light of truth. A loving father does not allow his child to remain weak simply because he fears the child's pain. True love sometimes leads you through difficult seasons so that inner strength may be formed within you. The Lord disciplines those he loves, as a father disciplines the son in whom he delights, as written in Proverbs 3:12. But my discipline is not careless wrath. It is like the hand of a craftsman, gently polishing a rough stone, until the beauty hidden within begins to appear. There were times when you were rejected not because you lacked value, but because I was redirecting you away from places that did not belong to you. There were dreams that shattered, not to destroy you, but to free you from things smaller than the plans I prepared for your life. Beloved child, I know it is not easy to keep faith during dark hours. There are nights when you pray with a heart heavy as stone. There are mornings when you wake and wonder whether you still have enough strength to continue. Yet, it is in those very moments that your soul is learning to cling to me, not because of pleasant feelings, but because of deep trust. True faith is not only singing songs during sunny days. True faith is still holding my hand when the sky is filled with storms. The righteous shall live by faith, as written in Habakkuk 2:4. That faith is the breath that keeps your soul standing firm against the winds, trying to pull you down. Remember David when he was still a young shepherd in the wilderness before becoming king. He had to face lions, bears, the scorn of others, and many years of fleeing and loneliness. There were times when he was hunted like a criminal, even though he had already been anointed for a great promise. Yet those years in the wilderness formed within David a heart that relied upon me more than anything else. Without those lonely nights in the caves, he might never have written words filled with such faith. Even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. As written in Psalm 23:4, beloved child, the wilderness you are walking through is also quietly creating within you a depth that easy seasons could never produce. I know that sometimes voices of doubt slip into your mind like darkness creeping through the cracks of a door at night. They whisper that you are not strong enough, that the promises I have spoken over your life will never come to pass, that you have waited far too long. But my child, do not mistake temporary darkness for eternal truth. Darkness exists only until the light appears. And I am that light. I am the light of the world. Whoever follows me shall not walk in darkness, but shall have the light of life. As written in John 8:12, when negative thoughts try to cover your mind, turn the eyes of your soul toward me, instead of staring endlessly at the storm. Dawn always comes, no matter how long the night may seem. Beloved child, there are things I am doing in your life that go beyond what your present understanding can fully grasp. Like a potter placing clay upon the wheel, I am patiently shaping you through every turn of life. At times you feel pressed, stretched, and spun around continuously, but I am not doing this to destroy you. I am forming endurance, wisdom, and spiritual beauty that can only be created through pressure and time. Jeremiah saw the potter ruin one vessel, yet instead of throwing away the clay, he reshaped it into another vessel more beautiful than before. In the same way, even when you feel like you have failed, I have not cast you aside. I can use those very broken pieces to create something far more beautiful than what existed before. Do not fear the moments when your path changes direction. My child, people often think every closed door is a loss, yet many times it is my protection. If Joseph had never been sold into Egypt, he would never have entered the position through which many lives were saved. If Moses had not spent 40 years in the wilderness, he would not have become gentle enough to lead an entire nation. If Peter had never failed and wept bitterly after denying the Lord, he would never have understood the true depth of grace. Do you see? I waste no season of your life. Even the things that wounded you most deeply can become the very places where my grace shines most powerfully. Beloved child, today I simply want you to remember this one truth. You have not been forgotten along the journey. I am still holding your hand, even when you cannot clearly feel it. I am still leading you even when you do not understand where the road ahead is going. So continue walking in trust. Let every trial become an opportunity for your soul to root itself more deeply in me. One day when you look back over the entire journey, you will understand that what appears painful today was actually the touch of my love quietly preparing you for the most beautiful season of fruitfulness I planned for your life from the very beginning. Beloved child, do not let your heart tremble before the changes unfolding in your life. I know that human nature longs to cling to what is familiar, even when that place no longer gives life to the soul. There are doors you hold tightly simply because you are afraid to step into the unknown. But my child, if winter never yielded to spring, flowers would never bloom. If a seed refused to bury itself in the soil and break open its old shell, it could never become a great tree. In the same way, there are things in your life that must close, so that something new may begin. I am not leading you through these changes in order to make you lost, but to bring you closer to the purpose I prepared for you long ago. Every storm you have walked through was never meant to drown you in despair. I have never allowed the waves to rise without setting their limits. There were times when you believed you were being swept away from safety. But in truth, I was leading you away from the old shoreline and into a wider land. When the disciples were upon the boat in the raging sea, they thought they were about to sink into the darkness. Yet in the midst of that storm, Jesus walked upon the water and came near to them. The very thing that terrified them became the place where my power was revealed. Beloved child, the storms you face today are also not outside of my control. Perhaps you do not yet understand why everything must shake so deeply. But one day you will realize that the storm itself carried you to places you would never have dared to walk into on your own. I know there are fears still quietly clinging to your mind. They appear like long shadows in the night, making you believe that the future ahead is filled only with uncertainty. But remember this, darkness has no existence of its own. It exists only that the light is absent. And I am your light, the Lord is my light and my salvation. Whom shall I fear? As written in Psalm 27:9-1. Many of the things you fear today are only shadows enlarged by anxiety and exhaustion. Do not allow imagined darkness to become louder than the voice I am speaking over your life. Beloved child, not a single one of your tears has ever been forgotten. I have heard the prayers you whispered in the middle of the night, when no one knew your heart was breaking. I saw the moments when you tried to appear strong before others, only to cry quietly when you were alone again. And I want you to know that every sigh has touched my heart. You keep track of all my wandering. Put my tears into your bottle, as written in Psalm 56:7-8. To the world, tears may seem like signs of weakness, but to me, they are evidence of a soul that still knows how to hope, still searches for light in the midst of darkness. Now, my child, a season of transition is drawing near, not because blind fate is shifting your life, but because my hand is guiding all things according to the appointed time. Do not think these moments are random. Before you were born, I already knew every step your feet would take. There are doors about to open that will astonish you, not because you achieved them through your own strength, but because I prepared them at the right moment. Yet in order to enter what is new, you must learn to walk by faith instead of demanding to see the entire road ahead. When I led Israel through the wilderness, I did not reveal the whole journey to the promised land from the beginning. I gave them only the cloud by day and the pillar of fire by night to guide them one step at a time. In the same way, I will illuminate the next step before you. And for now, that is enough. Perhaps in the coming days, you will face choices that cause your heart to tremble. There may be decisions that feel like mountains pressing heavily upon your mind. But do not forget that you are not making them alone. Call upon me, and I will guide you with a peace deeper than human understanding. Trust in the Lord with all your heart, and lean not on your own understanding. As written in Proverbs 3:5, there are things you consider losses that in my eyes are actually rescue. There are doors closing that grieve you, yet they are preventing you from entering places that do not belong to you. and there are delays you call failures while I am using them to prepare you for something far greater than anything you once asked for. Remember Joseph. To human eyes, everything in his life seemed like one failure after another. Betrayed, sold into slavery, falsely accused, and forgotten in prison. Yet every one of those events became a hidden preparation for the place I had appointed for him. The prison itself became the doorway leading him to authority. His suffering became the path through which many lives were saved. Beloved child, perhaps today you do not understand what I am allowing in your life, but one day you will look back and realize that even the things that appeared to be walls blocking your path were actually doors used to redirect you into a new destiny. Therefore, do not fear change anymore. My child, do not cling so tightly to the things I am gently removing from your hands. I do not take things away in order to leave your soul empty. I remove them to make room for something better. Keep moving forward in trust. Even if you cannot yet see the whole road ahead, let my hand guide you through every turn. And in the proper time, you will understand that every season of tears, every storm, and every period of waiting was quietly leading you toward the place my love prepared for you before time itself began. Beloved child, come close to me and rest from the battle you have secretly been waging against your own soul for far too long. I see the days when you smile before others while inwardly condemning yourself with words harsher than anything anyone else has ever spoken against you. I see how you keep returning to old mistakes, as though they still have the power to determine your future. You gather every painful memory, every failure, every moment you stumbled, and place them upon your shoulders like a sentence that never ends. But my child, why do you continue carrying burdens that I stretched out my hands to carry for you long ago? I did not create you to become a prisoner of your own past. You were not born to live forever beneath the shadow of shame. When I stretched out my hands upon the cross, it was not merely a sacrifice that allowed you to be forgiven in name only. It was true liberation for your soul. He canceled the record of debt that stood against us and nailed it to the cross. As written in Colossians 2:14, the accusations you keep repeating against yourself have already been removed from you. The only thing is this: I have opened the prison door, yet you are still standing inside because you have not dared to believe that you are truly free. Beloved child, I know there are mistakes that have wounded you so deeply you cannot forget them. There are wrong decisions that every time you remember them, pull your heart back into the abyss of regret. But listen to me carefully. The past no longer has the authority to define you. What defines you is my love for you. You call yourself by the name of failure, but I call you by grace. You look at yourself through the eyes of shame, but I look at you through the eyes of a father who still sees beauty in his child, even when that child is covered in dust. I will remember their sins and lawless deeds no more, as written in Hebrews 10:15. If I, the Holy One, have chosen not to keep a record of accusation against you, why do you continue rebuilding it within your mind? there is a truth you need to understand deep within your soul. Forgiveness is not only a gift I give, it is also a door you must have the courage to walk through. When you refuse to forgive yourself, you live as though the cross never happened. When you keep punishing yourself, you allow the darkness of the past to cover the light of grace. I do not say this to condemn you again, but to set you free from the invisible chains you have locked around your own feet. You cannot walk lightly into a new season while dragging the chains of yesterday behind you. Remember Peter. He boldly promised that he would never leave Jesus. Yet only a few hours later, he denied him 3 times in the darkness of night. The crowing of the rooster pierced his heart like a blade, and Peter wept bitterly because of his own weakness. From a human point of view, he may have thought he was no longer worthy to be used. But after the resurrection, Jesus did not come to crush him with reproach. He simply asked, "Do you love me?" And then he entrusted Peter once again with the mission of caring for his sheep. Beloved child, I am doing the same with you. I do not see you as a final failure. I see you as a soul that can still be restored, can still love, and can still walk forward in new light. I know there are nights when you lie awake, wishing you could turn back time and repair everything. But my child, I do not live in the past the way you do. I am the God of the present and the future. Every morning I allow you to wake again is a declaration that your story is not over. His mercies are new every morning, as written in Lamentations 3:23. Every heartbeat still moving within you is a sign that I still have purpose for your life. If I truly desired to condemn you, I would not continue giving you another day, another opportunity to love, another breath with which to begin again. Beloved child, step down from the judge's seat upon which you have placed yourself. You have no right to condemn what I have redeemed. I have already stood in that place for you, and the verdict from my lips is not rejected. But beloved, not cast aside, but restored. There is now no condemnation for those who are in Christ Jesus. As written in Romans 8:31, I have not only opened the door of your prison, I am standing outside it, stretching my hand toward you and waiting for you to step out. There are deep corners within your heart that you still keep hidden because you fear that if the light shines upon them, you will be seen in your weakest condition. But those are the very places I most desire to heal. Light does not come to destroy you. Light comes to reveal what needs to be healed. Do not be afraid when I touch old wounds. A physician must uncover a wound before it can truly be healed. And I am the healer whose hands are filled with gentleness. So today, beloved child, let this truth sink deeply into your soul. You are no longer a prisoner of your past. As this awakening grows inside you, know that helping with this mission is not a joke. It is a sign from God. You can support this work through the link in the description or the pinned comment, whether by buying a coffee, making a donation, or becoming a member of our Ko-Fi community. By doing so, you become part of Jesus' plan to save souls who are still stuck in fog. Every seed turns into light that fights against darkness. If you water others, you will be watered yourself, Jesus says. This is not history. It is a living promise about your future. Come into this moment with faith and a plan. What God has already planned for your life can be unlocked through your giving. The chains have already been broken. The door has already been opened. I am no longer standing far away, watching you struggle in darkness. I am right here, taking your hand and leading you into the light, live as one who has been set free, love as one who has been forgiven. Hope is one who knows that nothing in the past is stronger than the restoring power of my love. And little by little, you will begin to realize that the very places once filled with shame and pain will become the places where the light of my grace shines most beautifully in your life. Beloved child, do not let your heart tremble as though I stand before you with anger, seeking to destroy you. Understand this deeply within your soul. Every word I speak comes from love. When I warn you, it is not the voice of hatred, but the desperate call of a father who sees his child walking too close to the edge without realizing the danger ahead. If a father saw his child running toward a fire and remained silent, that would be true indifference. But I am not a cold and distant God who watches you wander away without concern. I speak because I love you too deeply to leave you slowly sinking into darkness without reaching out my hand to pull you back. Beloved child, there are moments when my words strike your conscience like a bell ringing in the middle of the night, causing your heart to tremble and the eyes of your soul to open. Do not mistake that awakening for condemnation. Light does not come to shame you. Light comes so that you may see the path before you. The light has come into the world, as written in John 3:19, and wherever light shines, darkness must retreat. There are hidden places within your heart that you have concealed for far too long. Fears, habits that exhaust your soul. Wounds that have not healed and leave you vulnerable to losing your way. When I touch those places, it is not to expose you to humiliation, but to heal what has been silently causing you pain. My child, do not think. My warnings are curses determining your destiny. I do not create fear in order to control you. I speak to awaken you from the sleep of the soul. When someone walks through darkness and approaches the edge of a cliff, a loud voice calling out is not meant to terrify them, but to save them from a fall that could destroy them. In the same way, when I say, "Turn back," it is because I see what you cannot yet see. There are paths that seem pleasant at first, but in the end, they lead the soul into deeper emptiness. There is a way that seems right to a man, but its end is the way of death. As written in Proverbs 14:12, that is why I cannot remain silent when I see you drifting away from the source of light. I know there are times when you simply want to remain comfortable within the shell you have always known. You want to avoid facing difficult changes, painful truths, and the things that require you to step beyond the old places of safety. But beloved child, I did not create you to live forever inside the narrow boundaries of fear. I created you for freedom. I created you to walk into a wider land where your soul can breathe in true light and peace. When I shake you, when I allow things in your life to be stirred, it is not because I desired to destroy your peace, but because I can see that you have fallen asleep in a place where life no longer remains. Remember Jonah. I called him to go to Nineveh, yet he fled because he was afraid and unwilling to face that calling. He sought safety aboard a ship, sailing in the opposite direction from me. But the storm rose upon the sea, not because I hated Jonah, but because I loved him too deeply to let him drift away from the purpose of his life. Even when Jonah sank into the belly of the great fish, into the darkest place imaginable, I still did not abandon him. And when he turned back, I used his very life to bring salvation to an entire city. Beloved child, sometimes the shakings in your life are also my call, drawing you away from paths that lead your soul astray and bringing you back to what I intended from the beginning. Do not be afraid when your heart feels stirred. Do not immediately shut yourself away when truth makes you uncomfortable. A physician must touch the wound before healing can begin. If I left you in darkness without speaking, that would be the true danger. But the fact that you can still feel my voice calling to you, that your heart still trembles when you hear words of warning, is proof that grace is still pursuing you. Those whom I love, I rebuke and discipline. As written in Revelation 30:19, true love is not indulgence that allows a soul to sleep forever in deception. True love dares to awaken you so that you may step into life. But my child, I also do not want you to live in constant fear, as though I am always waiting to punish you. That is not my heart. I do not delight in seeing you tremble in despair. I rejoice when you return in trust. Every stern word I speak is wrapped in mercy, even when I warn you about darkness. My purpose is still to lead you back into the light, like the shepherd who leaves the 99 sheep to search for the one that wandered away. I continue calling for you, because you are more precious to me than you can fully understand. Beloved child, let this truth sink into the deepest places within your heart. I am not against you. I am fighting for you. Every time I touch your fears, it is because I want to awaken the courage you have forgotten still lives within you. Every trial I allow is not meant to crush you, but to refine you like gold in the fire. And every warning I send is like a map placed into the hands of a traveler who has lost the way, so that they may know there is still a road leading home. So today, beloved child, do not run from the light. Let it shine into every hidden corner you have concealed for too long. Trust that even within my most serious words still beats the heart of a father who has never stopped loving you. And then you will understand that the truly frightening thing is not heaven's warning, but living so long away from the light that you can no longer hear the voice of love calling to you. But my child, you can still hear it, which means I am still here, still calling your name, still stretching out my hands toward you to bring you back into true peace within my embrace. Beloved child, keep your heart awake in a world that is increasingly confusing light with darkness. I know there are times when you look around and feel your soul grow heavy because of what is happening. Many things once recognized as wrong are now praised as wisdom. People celebrate rebellion as freedom, call compromise maturity, and use knowledge to cover the spiritual emptiness within themselves. But my child, do not let your heart sink into bitterness or fear when you see these things. I have never lost my authority over this world. No matter how loudly darkness may shout, my light has never weakened. The light shines in the darkness, and the darkness has not overcome it, as written in John 1:7-5. What I desire from you is not a life obsessed with darkness, but a life lived so close to the source of light that you immediately recognize when your soul begins drifting away from me. For truly, darkness rarely enters through something obviously evil at first. It usually arrives quietly, familiarly, and seemingly normal. It slips in through exhaustion that causes you to delay prayer for one more day, through wounds that slowly close your heart to love, through quiet voices whispering, "You do not need me in this matter. You can handle it yourself." Little by little, it pulls your soul away from peace before you even notice it. The most dangerous strategy of darkness is not to make you afraid of it, but to convince you that you no longer need to stay watchful. But beloved child, I do not say these things to make you live in suspicion or panic over every difficult emotion you experience. There are times when you are simply tired because you are human, because your body and mind have endured too much pressure. I do not want you to see every weakness as though you are being consumed by some terrifying mystical darkness. I am the God of peace. What I want you to understand is this: your soul must be cared for just as a house must be tended each day. A house does not fall apart because of one great storm alone, but because of small cracks left neglected for too long. In the same way, when your heart becomes filled with resentment, when you continue carrying painful memories without allowing them to heal, when you let toxic relationships define your worth, cracks begin to appear within you. Remember Samson. He did not lose his strength in a single moment. His downfall began with small compromises he believed he could still control. Step by step, he moved closer to the very thing that would weaken his soul. And by the time he realized it, he had lost the strength he once thought could never leave him. Beloved child, I am warning you in the same way. Do not underestimate the small things pulling your heart away from the light. Not everything that destroys the soul arrives like a storm. Often it comes through a gradual coldness toward what is sacred, through slowly stopping listening to my voice, ceasing to open your heart in prayer, and no longer believing that the light within you is still strong. But my child, hear this clearly: darkness does not hold ultimate power over you. It is strong only when you forget to whom you belong. The enemy cannot steal what I have redeemed as long as you continue returning to the light. It seeks only to weary you until you give up, to fill you with doubt until you close the door of hope with your own hands. But he who is in you is greater than he who is in the world, as written in 1 John 4:24. You are not a helpless prisoner in this battle. You have the authority to choose what is allowed to remain within your heart. You can open the door for my peace to enter. You can shut the doors against bitterness, despair, and lies, beloved child. When you begin to feel your joy fading, when your words become sharper than love, when patience disappears and your soul grows heavy for reasons you cannot explain, do not simply condemn yourself in despair. Stop and return to me. Allow me to shine light upon the places within your heart that need healing. Perhaps it is a wound you have not forgiven. Perhaps it is a negative voice you have listened to for so long that you began to believe it was the truth about who you are. Perhaps it is exhaustion. You keep trying to hide instead of resting in me. I do not condemn you for these things. I only desire to draw you back before the darkness of weariness and despair dims the light within your soul. Do not forget that a lamp does not go out in a single instant. It fades when it is no longer supplied with oil. So continue nourishing your soul. Pray even when your prayers are very short. Give thanks even during difficult days. Keep your heart tender toward love instead of allowing bitterness to take root. Stay close to people who draw you nearer to the light, not to things that make your soul increasingly dark and weary. Guard your heart above all else, for from it flow the springs of life, as written in Proverbs 4:7-23. And beloved child, never forget the most important truth of all. You are not fighting alone. I am not standing far away watching you struggle through this life. I am here closer than your very breath. When you are weak, I remain your strength. When you lose your way, I remain the light that guides you. When you forget your worth, I still call your name with unchanging love. Darkness may whisper many things, but it does not have the final word over your life. The final word belongs to me, and I am still declaring that you are loved, protected, and called to walk in a light that will never fade. Beloved child, do not think that you must become a perfect person or possess a faith that never trembles before. I will listen to your prayers. I do not listen only to strong voices rising loudly in crowded temples. I also hear the faint whisper lifted from a dark room. When your soul is weary and your eyes are still filled with tears. There are moments when you think you are too weak to pray the right way, too full of doubt for heaven to answer you. But my child, what touches my heart is not the perfection of your words, but the sincerity of your soul. The Lord is near to the brokenhearted, as written in Psalm 34:18. Even when your voice trembles in fear, if you still turn back and call upon my name, heaven has already heard you. I do not want you to live obsessed with invisible powers, as though you must personally control every spiritual battle. Understand this clearly, beloved child. Power does not come through mystical formulas or grand declarations repeated in fear. Power comes through the living relationship between your soul and me. When you open your heart to my light, when you pray with simple trust, you enter into a place of peace where darkness cannot rule. You do not need to command, like someone trying to prove their own strength, simply by remaining close to me. The light naturally drives away the darkness. The Lord is the stronghold of my life. Whom shall I fear, as written in Psalm 20:71. My child, I know there are times when you pray and see nothing change immediately. You speak words of faith, yet the room around you remains silent. The burdens are still there. The battles within your heart seem unfinished. And then you begin to wonder whether your prayers have truly reached heaven at all. But do not mistake silence for my absence. There are movements in the unseen realm that your eyes cannot perceive. Just as a seed remains beneath the soil for a long time before the first sprout appears, many of your prayers are quietly taking root before the answer becomes visible. The prayer of a righteous person is powerful and effective. As written in James 5:16, every time you choose trust instead of surrendering to despair, your soul is becoming far stronger than you realize. Remember Daniel, when he prayed and humbled himself before me. The answer did not appear on the very first day, in a way he could see. Yet the angel told him that from the moment he first set his heart to seek me, his prayer had already been heard. There are unseen battles taking place before answers become visible upon the earth. Beloved child, this does not mean you should live in fear of invisible things. But understand that sincere prayer is never wasted. When you kneel and trust, your soul reconnects with the source of heaven's life. I also want you to understand that angels are not powers for you to command according to your own desires. They are my servants sent to carry out my will and to minister to those who belong to me. Therefore, do not turn spiritual life into a pursuit of mystical feelings or supernatural experiences. What I seek first in you is not fascination with hidden mysteries, but a heart that knows how to love, forgive, pray, and walk in humility. When your soul remains close to me, the protection of heaven is already surrounding you. The angel of the Lord encamps around those who fear him, as written in Psalm 34:7. Beloved child, sometimes the greatest thing in the eyes of heaven is a very simple prayer. A cry of "Lord, help me," spoken from a sincere heart, can carry more power than thousands of beautiful words without life within them. The tax collector in the temple simply bowed his head, struck his chest, and prayed, "God, have mercy on me, a sinner." And I looked upon him with greater favor than the Pharisee who considered himself righteous. Do you see? I am not waiting for you to become the strongest person before I begin moving in your life. I only desire that you open the door of your heart to me. If tonight your heart feels troubled, simply sit quietly before me. Breathe deeply and allow my peace to cover your mind. Your prayer may be very simple. "Lord, please keep me and my family in your light. Let my heart rest in your love." You do not need to shout for heaven to hear you. I hear even the sigh your lips have not yet spoken aloud. Do not let fear convince you that darkness is stronger than light. You are about to enter your divine future. Remember that this message does not end with you. People can use your breakthrough to get where they need to go. Through the link in the description or the pinned comment, whether by buying a coffee, making a donation, or becoming a member of our Ko-Fi community, you can help this mission. By doing so, you are sowing into the awakening, deliverance, and restoration of souls who are still trapped in darkness. This is not poetry when Jesus says, "Give, and heaven will open over you." Every seed you plant turns into oil for your destiny, fire for your calling, and safety for your family. Now is your time, my child. Have faith, and as you do, watch God multiply what you let go of. Darkness exists only where light is absent, and I have never left you. Perhaps the room around you still feels quiet, but that silence does not mean I am absent. Many times it is within that very stillness that your soul is being covered by a peace deeper than the world could ever understand. Peace I leave with you, my peace I give to you, as written in John 14:27 and 16:33. Therefore, beloved child, do not wait until you are good enough before returning to me. Do not think that you must become free from all doubt before heaven will listen to you. Come to me exactly as you are right now, with all your weakness, your weariness, and the fragile hope you still carry within you. And then you will realize that what keeps you standing is not your own strength or intense emotions, but the truth that I am still here, still listening, still holding you with a love that has never changed. Beloved child, I know there have been nights when you knelt in prayer and rose again, feeling as though the heavens remained silent. You poured out the deepest parts of your heart, yet the circumstances around you seemed unchanged, and at times you began to wonder whether your cries were truly being heard. But my child, let me remind you of this. Not one sincere prayer ever disappears into emptiness. Every cry born from faith reaches my heart, even when your lips have only enough strength left to sigh instead of speak before they call. I will answer. As written in Isaiah 65:24, I do not need loud words in order to hear you. I hear even the trembling of your soul in the middle of the night. But I also want you to understand this clearly, beloved child. Spiritual power is not some mystical energy that you must unlock or receive through hidden formulas like magic. True power comes from my living presence within your life. When you open your heart in trust, when you choose to return to the light, instead of surrendering to despair, your soul begins to be filled with peace and strength from me. What changes the atmosphere of your home is not emotional declarations or spiritual formulas, but love, forgiveness, sincere prayer, and my presence at the center of your family. My child, do not fear when you feel weak. I am not only with you on the days when you feel strong and full of faith. I am also there in your most exhausted moments, when your mind is filled with doubt and your heart feels almost emptied of hope. God is our refuge and strength, a very present help in trouble, as written in Psalm 40:61. You do not need to reach some perfect spiritual condition before I protect you. Even now, in the midst of your fragility, my arms are still around you. I know you long for peace within your home. I know you want the conflicts to disappear, the heaviness to be lifted, and love to be restored. And beloved child, I desire that as well. But remember that peace does not begin by controlling everything outside of you. It begins within a soul anchored in me. When you choose gentle words instead of answering in anger. When you pray for your loved ones instead of holding bitterness inside your heart. When you bless instead of curse. My light begins to spread throughout your home. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called children of God. As written in Matthew 5:9, remember the room where the disciples gathered. After Jesus rose from the dead, they locked the doors because of fear. Their hearts filled with uncertainty and confusion about the future. But then Jesus came and stood among them and said, "Peace be with you." His presence did not merely change their emotions, it transformed fearful people into men and women filled with courage and hope. Beloved child, I also desire to enter the house of your soul in the same way, not to fill you with more fear about darkness, but to give you the peace the world can never offer. I also want you to understand that angels are not meant to become the focus of your hope in place of me. All true protection comes from me alone. Angels are servants carrying out my will. But your heart must always remain fixed upon the Creator, not upon mystical manifestation. Do not allow spiritual life to become a pursuit of supernatural feelings. What I seek in you is simple faithfulness each day, a sincere prayer, a repentant heart, and a life that knows how to love and forgive. Beloved child, you do not need to shout in order for heaven to be moved. A prayer offered with even the smallest but sincere faith is already precious before me. If tonight your heart feels troubled, simply sit quietly before me and say, "Lord, reign within my home and within my soul. Let your light and your peace remain here." You may not see flashes of lightning or hear thunder from heaven, but little by little, my peace will begin to cover your mind, like cool water flowing across dry ground. Do not think that you have been abandoned in this life. Perhaps you cannot yet see everything changing, but I'm still quietly protecting you. There are things I have kept away from your life that you never even knew about. There have been moments when I held your heart together, just as you believed you no longer had the strength to continue. And even now, I am still standing at the door of your heart, not to threaten you, but to remind you that you belong to the light and not to the darkness. Therefore, beloved child, rise up in peace rather than in fear. Bless your home through love, through patience, and through sincere prayer. Let my light begin within your own heart and then spread into every place around you. And then you will understand that true power does not lie in mysterious things that astonish you, but in a soul that remains in me, trusts in me, and allows my love to transform everything from the inside outward. Beloved child, be at peace and do not let your heart become covered with fear over things you do not fully understand. I know there are times when you sense heaviness in the atmosphere around you, days when words become sharper, hearts become more easily wounded, and your mind feels pulled into a weariness you cannot fully explain. But my child, I do not want you to look at every difficulty through eyes of panic, as though darkness holds greater power than my light. What I desire is for you to recognize that your soul must be guarded through watchfulness, love, and peace. It is true that many negative things do not enter your life with loud noise. Division often begins through wounds left unhealed. Coldness grows from small misunderstandings that are never resolved. Bitterness takes root from words you continue carrying within your heart instead of forgiving. And when the soul becomes filled with things never brought into the light, heaviness begins spreading like shadows covering a house. But beloved child, this does not mean you have been abandoned to some power seeking to possess you. It means I am inviting you to return to my healing light before those small cracks become deeper. Remember this: darkness cannot survive where light is continually kept burning. The Lord is my light and my salvation, whom shall I fear? As written in Psalm 27:1. When your heart is filled with love, when you learn to forgive, when you bring your wounds to me, instead of hiding them in silence, your soul begins to shine again. What darkness often takes advantage of is not its own strength, but the wariness that causes you to stop fighting for the peace within yourself. It wants you to believe that angry reactions, negative thoughts, or emotional coldness are simply normal until you stop paying attention to them. But I am awakening you so that you may understand that every word, every thought, and every attitude can either nourish light or nourish chaos within your heart. Beloved child, I do not want you to live in suspicion of everyone around you, or to see every difficulty as a sign of something frightening and mystical. There are times when you are simply exhausted, stressed, or carrying emotional wounds that have not yet been healed, and what you need first is not fear, but rest in me. Let me touch the painful places you have been avoiding for too long. Perhaps you have kept an unspoken disappointment in your heart. Perhaps you are still carrying the memory of words that wounded you. Perhaps you are too tired to continue being gentle with others. If these things remain unhealed, they will slowly harden your heart. But I do not condemn you for that. I only want to heal you. Remember Cain and Abel. Jealousy did not begin with murder immediately. It began with something very quiet within Cain's heart: comparison, bitterness, and the feeling of being rejected, which he refused to bring into the light before me. And then, what remained unhealed grew into a darkness that swallowed his soul. Beloved child, I remind you of that story not to make you afraid, but to help you understand the importance of keeping your heart soft before me. Do not let small wounds accumulate into great walls. Do not let weariness cause you to forget how to love. I know there are days when your home seems filled with a heavy atmosphere. Conversations easily turn into misunderstandings. Small matters can wound hearts deeply. But precisely in those moments, I am calling you to become a carrier of peace, rather than adding more chaos. Blessed are the peacemakers, as written in Matthew 5:9. Every time you choose silence instead of answering in anger, light becomes stronger than darkness. Every time you pray for your family, instead of only complaining, I begin restoring things your eyes cannot yet see. Every blessing spoken in love is like opening a door for the peace of heaven to enter that home. Beloved child, do not let exhaustion pull your soul into surrender. Do not let the darkness of negative thoughts make you forget that you still have the power to choose light each day. When your mind is filled with unrest, return to me instead of sinking deeper into fear. Pray simply, Lord, Please keep my heart in your peace. Please heal the places within me that are still wounded. I do not require beautiful words. I only desire a sincere heart, willing to open itself to me. Do not forget that the strongest home is not the one that never faces difficulty, but the one where love knows how to return to one another after being wounded. When you forgive, when you embrace your loved ones, even while pain is still present, when you choose love in the very moment when anger would be easiest, you are rebuilding walls of light around your family, stronger than any fear. Therefore, today, beloved child, stop staring only at the darkness and begin nourishing the light. Do not ask too much about what may be trying to enter your home. Ask instead which doors you are opening for my peace to come in. Let your words become gentler. Let your mind rest more deeply in me. Let love heal the places that were once cracked. And then you will see that wherever my light is kept burning, darkness cannot remain for long. Beloved child, do not let your heart be bound by the fear that darkness can easily take hold of your soul, as though I am no longer with you. I know there are seasons when you feel your joy slowly drying up, your passion fading, and your mind beginning to fill with heavy thoughts. There are times when you look at others more through woundedness and self-protection than through love. There are times when you doubt your own worth and forget how strong you once were when you remained close to me. But my child, do not quickly assume that this means you have been abandoned or overtaken by darkness. Often it is simply a sign that your soul is weary and needs to return to rest in my light. Yes, if you allow bitterness, despair, and emotional coldness to remain in your heart for too long, without bringing them to me for healing, they will slowly erode the peace within you. But remember this deeply: darkness does not hold absolute power over those who belong to me. It only grows when you stop turning your eyes toward the light. Do not be overcome by evil, but overcome evil with good. As written in Romans 12:21, the moment you begin recognizing the things that are pulling your soul away from peace, resentment, lingering fear, thoughts of self-condemnation, the closing of your heart toward love, you have already begun taking your first steps toward freedom. Beloved child, I do not want you to live obsessed with fighting darkness at every moment, as though your life were an endless siege by invisible forces. What I desire is for you to live watchfully in love. For the one who walks in the light does not need to run around in panic, searching for darkness everywhere. They simply need to keep their lamp burning. When you pray, when you keep your heart soft, when you learn to forgive, when you choose truth instead of deception and peace instead of chaos, my light is being strengthened within you day by day. I want you to hear this clearly when I speak peace over your life. Nothing can stand beyond my authority. But do not misunderstand. This is some mystical miracle that means you no longer need to care for your soul. My protection is not an invitation for you to live in fear while waiting for heaven to do everything in your place. It is the assurance that you are not fighting alone. Greater is he that is in you than he that is in the world. As written in 1 John 4:94, when you remain in me. My light covers your mind and your life in a way that darkness cannot dominate. Remember the night the people of Israel remained in Egypt before their deliverance. Darkness and judgment covered the land. Yet those who were under the mark of the blood were protected. What guarded them was not panic or fear, but trust in the word I had spoken. In the same way, beloved child, I do not want you to live trembling before darkness. I want you to stand firm in the confidence that I am still watching over your life. He who watches over Israel will neither slumber nor sleep. As written in Psalm 121:4, I know there are times when you feel as though something heavy is hanging over your home or your mind, but begin with the simple things before me. Open the windows and let the light enter. Let the words spoken in your home become gentler. End the arguments that continue only because no one is willing to truly listen. Pray for one another instead of silently blaming one another. Rest when your body and mind are exhausted, instead of assuming every heaviness is an invisible attack. Sometimes what your soul needs most is not frantic warfare, but a return to my peace and healing. Beloved child, victory is not found in obsessing over the power of darkness, but in remembering to whom you belong. The enemy is only strong when you forget the light within you. But when you return to me, when you allow my light to shine into the places still wounded within you, truth will begin breaking apart the lies that have clung to your mind for far too long. You shall know the truth, and the truth shall set you free. As written in John 80:32, therefore, today do not pray out of panic, as though you were standing before a darkness too powerful to overcome. Pray with the assurance that I am still with you. Speak to me simply, Lord. Keep my heart in your light. Do not allow bitterness or fear to take root within me. Let my home be filled with peace and love. A sincere prayer like this is far more precious than declarations spoken out of fear. Beloved child, I am watching over you, not so that you may live in anxiety, but so that you may live in freedom. When you recognize the true source of the battle that it begins, when the soul slowly drifts away from the light, then you will also recognize the path to victory, drawing closer to me each day. And wherever my light continues to burn, darkness cannot remain for long. Beloved child, do not underestimate the small things happening within your heart each day. A very small seed can grow into a tree that gives shade, but it can also become thorns if nourished the wrong way. In the same way, your soul is shaped little by little through your words, thoughts, and daily choices. A harsh word held too long within the heart can cause it to become hard and dry. A small jealousy left hidden, instead of brought into the light, can quietly grow into distance and bitterness. But my child, the same is true of light. One sincere act of forgiveness, one embrace of reconciliation, one simple prayer can begin healing an atmosphere once filled with pain. Please know that every seed you plant in this mission will grow into a torch that shines in someone else's darkness. Giving to this work through the link in the description or the pinned comment. Whether by buying a coffee, making a donation, or becoming a member of our Ko-Fi community, does not go to a channel. Your actions are supporting a divine mission to save lost souls. Heaven moves through willing voices, but it grows through hearts that are kind. This is what I say over you now. Each gift you give is like a stream of living water that flows into the life of someone who needs healing. Give, and it will be given to you is not just a verse for Jesus. It is a living promise that shapes your future. Allow me to invite you now with a simple act of faith. Come into this moment with purpose, with honesty, and with hope. The money you give today is not a donation. The act of spiritual obedience that lets your heavens open is what opens them. Let go of your seed and see what God brings back into your life. Do not let the sun go down while you are still angry, as written in Ephesians 4:26. I teach you this not to place burdens upon you, but to keep your heart free from the small shadows that silently take root. Remember that darkness does not need to take over your soul in a single night. Often, it only needs you to stop caring for the light. Therefore, do not wait until everything becomes serious before returning to me. Care for your soul each day, like someone tending a lamp in the night. Even the smallest light is enough to make darkness retreat. When you choose gentleness instead of reacting in anger, the light is growing. When you choose prayer instead of feeding despair, the light is growing. When you choose forgiveness instead of carrying judgment within your heart, you are closing the doors through which chaos seeks to enter. Beloved child, you are not alone in this journey. But I also want you to understand correctly the help that comes from heaven. Angels were not given to you so that you would live obsessed with spiritual warfare or expect mystical confrontations every night. I send angels as servants to carry out my will and guard those who belong to me. The angel of the Lord encamps around those who fear him, as written in Psalm 34:7. This is not meant to make you fearful of darkness, but to remind you that you are surrounded by the care of heaven, far more than you realize. I know you feel strengthened when you hear about Michael, the angel who fights for my people. And yes, Scripture speaks of Michael as one who rises during times of battle to protect the people of God. But beloved child, do not turn this into a dramatic obsession with invisible battles surrounding you every moment. The greatest battle in spiritual life is often not about mystical things outside of you, but about whether you will continue keeping your heart in truth, love, and faith. For we wrestle not against flesh and blood, as written in Ephesians 6:12. Yet, this does not mean you must live in constant anxiety over unseen forces around you. I want you to remain watchful, but I do not want you to live in fear. Remember David when he faced Goliath. What made him strong was not that he understood every secret of the unseen realm, but that he knew to whom he belonged. While others trembled before the giant, David stepped forward with confidence that God was still with him. Beloved child, true courage does not come from believing you can control darkness, but from knowing that my light is greater than anything that stands against you. When you remain close to me, you do not need to live in panic or constantly search for darkness. You only need to keep walking in the light. I want you to understand that heaven does not work only through powerful declarations, but also through your life of love. Every time you bring peace into a home filled with tension, heaven is working through you. Every time you are patient with your loved ones, when anger would be easy, heaven is working through you. Every time you kneel to pray for your family, instead of sinking into disappointment, you are already standing with the light. That is how you rise together with what I am doing, not through fear, but through trust and love. Beloved child, I do not need you to become a warrior of anger or someone who hunts for darkness everywhere. I need you to become a keeper of light. Let your words bring life instead of wounds. Let your home be filled with gratitude instead of complaint. Let your heart remain tender toward healing instead of closing itself in self-protection. That is where darkness loses its power. If tonight your heart is troubled, simply pray this: Lord, please keep my home in your peace. Fill my heart with love and truth. Help me walk in the light each day. You do not need complicated words or loud cries for heaven to hear you. A sincere heart turned toward me is always enough. And beloved child, remember this final truth. The greatest strength is not found in how much you know about darkness, but in how close you remain to the light. When your soul is anchored in me, peace will cover you in a way that surpasses all understanding, and then you will realize that what protects your home most powerfully is not fear of evil, but the living presence of my love dwelling within that home each day. Beloved child, perhaps there have been seasons when you felt lost in this life, as though no one truly understood what was happening within your heart. There were times when you thought you had been forgotten, left behind amid the noise and change of the world. But my child, hear me from the deepest place of your soul. Even if you forgot me in your most exhausted days, I never forgot you. See, I have engraved you on the palms of my hands, as written in Isaiah 49:16. Your name is not something fleeting in my memory. It has been held in unchanging love since before you first cried out upon this earth. I know there are things from the past that still make your heart ache when you remember them. There are failures you once believed would remain as stains that could never be erased. There are decisions that filled you with regret until you wondered what life might have been if only you had been different. But beloved child, I do not see your life as a chain of meaningless ruins in my hands. Even the most painful things can become material for building something more beautiful. When I restore a soul, I do not merely patch up old broken pieces and leave it to keep living in fear. I make it new. I breathe new life into the places that were once dry. I turn ashes into beauty and tears into streams that nourish wisdom and compassion. Remember Joseph. Others saw him as one betrayed, sold into slavery, and forgotten in a dark prison. But I saw in him a man being prepared to save many nations. Those very years of pain formed within Joseph the tenderness and wisdom that a throne could never create by itself. And the day came when he could look back on all that had happened and say, "You intended to harm me, but God intended it for good, beloved child. One day you too will look back on your dark seasons with different eyes. You will no longer see only pain. You will see my hand quietly guiding you through every broken step to create a depth within you that you had never known before. I know that sometimes others do not understand the path you are walking. There are people who look at your obedience with doubt. There are words that seem careless, yet pierce your heart like thorns. They do not understand why you choose forgiveness instead of revenge. They do not understand why you continue believing after so many disappointments. They do not understand why you keep walking faithfully when everything seems to move so slowly. But my child, do not let human voices become louder than my voice within you. You were not created to please everyone. You were called to walk faithfully in what I am doing in your life. The world does not know us because it did not know him. As written in 1 John 3:31, there are spiritual things that cannot be measured by human reasoning or by the eyes of the world. When Noah built the ark upon dry ground, people surely thought he was foolish. When Abraham left his homeland to journey toward an unknown land, many likely believed he was reckless. Yet they continued walking because they knew the one who had called them was faithful. Beloved child, what I am building within you is the same. Not everyone will understand the process, and you do not need to explain everything I am doing in your life in order to gain the acceptance of others. I am creating within you a work deeper than human eyes can see. Every wound of sorrow, every season of waiting, every silent night of prayer is becoming a stone in the spiritual house I am building within you. There are times when you feel that I have been silent for too long. But that silence is not abandonment. A sculptor does not always explain every strike of the chisel against the stone, yet every touch slowly reveals the beauty that was already hidden inside. In the same way, I am shaping you through love, even when the process is painful. Beloved child, do not fear when I lead you through seasons that no one else understands. A seed buried beneath the soil is also surrounded by darkness before it rises into a strong tree. There are seasons when I keep you hidden because your roots must grow deeper before fruit can appear. If I revealed everything too soon, you might begin seeking the approval of people instead of learning how to rest peacefully beneath my gaze. I want you to understand that nothing you have endured will be wasted. The wounds that have healed will become places through which you can touch the pain of others with true compassion. Your past failures will become testimonies that my grace is stronger than human weakness. One day you will tell the story of your life, not with bitterness, but with gratitude, for you will realize that it was precisely in the moments when you were most broken that I was closest to you. Therefore, today, beloved child, continue walking in faithfulness. Do not let mockery or doubt shake your heart. Do not seek validation from the world for what I have already placed within you. Allow me to quietly complete the work I have begun in you, and in the right time, you will see that every silence, every season of waiting, and every trial was only preparation for something far more beautiful, something I had prepared for you before the foundations of the earth were laid.